What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Off the Top Rope, Off the Mic Sports Network. Leave it to AEW to, do something that, I would totally expect them to do. They had a great pay-per-view. They've got an opportunity to follow it up with something genuinely interesting. And then I see this come across my timeline. And obviously they did announce also that Hangman Adam Page and Tony Storm are going to speak on Dynamite. But Hangman Adam Page, that's not all he's going to be doing on Dynamite from Chicago. This is the first week of their residency. I think it's the Aragon Ballroom. So the Death Riders, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta are going to take on the trio of Hangman Adam Page, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Mark Briscoe. Okay, so much to dissect here because this just doesn't make any fucking sense. Some people will say, well, they're trying to follow up on the paper. Okay, first and foremost, number one, the obvious is here. Hangman Adam Page and Jon Moxley had a 35-minute bloodbath on Saturday, which by my calculations would be 4 days later. They were spilling buckets of blood on that canvas and all over Globe Life Field. That was a graphic and just grueling match where there were barbed wire tables and, forks to the head and all this crazy shit that was going on and just emotional stuff. I know the AEW fans' argument is going to be, well, hey, this is about where the best wrestlers. Like, sometimes you don't always need a match to really sell things. The other part of this is, didn't Hangman just conquer the Death Riders? Why is he facing the Death Riders again? Powerhouse Hobbs, I understand his interest in this match because the Death Riders took out one of his partners. Mark Briscoe's feuding with MJF. So is this going to lead maybe the MJF component of, and we still don't know if there's like a cash-in component to the winner of the gauntlet, but I just think that this is another lazy booking. It's like, hey, it's a random 6-person tag. And I understand Hangman's got history with the Death Riders, but I would much rather see, especially I understand they have over a month to get to Forbidden Door, but I would much rather see him celebrate, the winning the world title and, setting the stage for what is ultimately going to be his road to Forbidden Door. I'd love to see something with Swerve Strickland, and especially because that was a fascinating element of the conclusion of that match with the chain. Does Swerve Strickland want a world title shot for helping him out? That's way more interesting than getting into another random trios match with the Death Riders, who lost on Saturday, by the way, all of them. So I was and also the Death Riders, they've still got to deal. Is Bryan Danielson back fully healthy? Is Darby Allin in it for, like, maybe some of these things will play out in the match, but at the same time, you didn't need to have the match to prove the point. I understand that one of the founding principles of this company is wrestling, but there is a better way to get to this rather than just throw this match 4 days after a grueling match that ended your pay-per-view. Like, I know I'm going to get killed in the comments for basically saying, yeah, this isn't a needed match, but there's nothing wrong with having an emotional promo with a guy who's had a 3-year journey back to the world title. And then obviously the Swerve component. We got to figure out what the hell the status of Will Ospreay and that nature of that thing. Like, there's so many other components to this. And then Mark Briscoe's involvement just feels weird, but is that going to lead to MJF? So on some level, I do see parts of this that could make some sense, but it just the reason why I'm miffed about it is because AEW consistently does this after their big shows. They just throw a bunch of dudes into a tag match. The one thing that I can say for this, they didn't label it an all-star trios match. Woo! So, I would expect nothing less from Tony Khan because it's like, listen, I get it. You had a big pay-per-view, but there's literally nothing wrong with, trying to establish new storylines, because basically that was their WrestleMania. Establish new storylines, establish new angles, leading into what's basically your reset here to start the road to Forbidden Door and All Out. Like, there were other things that also happened on that show, and Hangman doesn't need to wrestle. Moxley doesn't need to wrestle. Also, Hangman and the Death Riders. I thought we were done with that. Are we setting the stage for another match with him and the Death? That just doesn't do it for me. This feels like they're rehashing stuff that we thought was concluded with at that pay-per-view. And then especially you add on the fact that they literally had a Texas death match where these guys tried to fucking kill each other. So we're led to believe that they're fine 4 days later after, being dropped on tables and, stabbed with forks and all this other shit. Horses, man on fire, killed tridents. It's like a scene out of the fucking Anchorman, for God's sake. Like, Jesus. I mean, seriously, what the fuck, man? Like, on some level, I could see where they're going, but with Tony Khan as the booker, I don't see how this is going. And then you don't need to use wrestling as a vehicle to get to your next storyline. That's just lazy. You could write a compelling story. You could have MJF potentially, play chicken with Hangman. Hey, I might do this here. I might do this there. The Hurt Syndicate getting involved. That's an interesting element. Like, the Forbidden Door concept. It's just like, why does this match need to happen? And I saw this and I was just like, seriously, like, I thought we were done with this. You had a epic conclusion to an epic show. Why not let these things breathe? Instead, we're going right back into the action, right back in, which I get it for the sickos. That's fine. But if you're trying to attract new viewers and to see, oh, hey, what's going to happen now that Hangman's the world champion? And then they turn on their television on Wednesday night for Dynamite and they look on the screen and they see exactly what they saw on Saturday, which is Hangman and the Death Riders. Like, what about Hangman and Swerve? That's your best story. Like, that's a component that I would rather hear from, and maybe that happens in the separate promo, but why does Hangman need to have this match? He's the world champion. He literally just won the championship. Why just exhaust this? Why just go back to the stuff that we've already kind of resolved? And, we could set the stage for, hey, who's challenging Hangman next at Forbidden Door? What's going on with Will Ospreay? What's up with Swerve? All these things, rather than, hey, Death Riders, and the Death Riders shouldn't be worried about Hangman at this point because, yes, he did take the title. Darby Allin's a part of the reason why they lost that match. Bryan Danielson's part of the reason why they lost, why Moxley lost the title. Again, a lot of elements of this just do not check out for me. And it feels like a really wasted opportunity for them to kind of connect with some fans after they had a ton of goodwill this weekend. It's just like, it feels more of the same, and it doesn't feel like Tony Khan has learned anything. And I'm hoping that I'm wrong, that they can book this Hangman title run. But like I said, some people are trying to come up with the impression of, oh yeah, Hangman had a good run, but CM Punk ruined it. I was like, Tony Khan booked CM Punk to go over Hangman 3 years ago. Really? So it's just like, I don't have a lot of optimism when I'm seeing the same booking patterns that I've seen from Tony Khan literally most of this year, most of last year, the last couple of years, especially coming out of that epic match that concluded that long show, but a great show at All in Texas. Anyway, thanks so much. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.